March 13th. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report. There we are. Hello, TikTokers. YouTubers, I mean, not TikTokers. So let me get TikTok rolling here. This is going to be fun tonight. There we go. The bad guys reported my live yesterday, so TikTok took away my live privileges for a week, except we're appealing it. Claiming, of course, as only TikTok would do, last night's show was misinformation. Really? Which part was it? Was it the fact that I was criticizing Trump for wanting to pardon the January 6th insurrectionists, or that I was criticizing Russia for, you know, committing to trying to destroy Ukraine? So which one of those was misinformation? We don't know. Some of you showed up. Yay! Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. How are we all doing here? John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from Washington, D.C., using my backup account on TikTok because people are being evil. People are being evil. Yeah, TikTok's being gamed by the trolls again, sadly, and I don't know why they let themselves do it, but nonetheless, they do. They're letting people do evil things. So anyway, good to see you all. John Aravosis here. Maybe we'll wait another 30 seconds and then get rolling with the show. Hey guys, hey TikTokers, how are you guys doing? Hopefully the regulars. I do see Poppy and the others. That's good. So anyway, yes, a lot of fun today. There's no SNN today. Isn't that funny? It's kind of weird, you know, seeing it on a different account. But yes, so TikTok succeeded yesterday. I don't know how they let people do this. Thank you, Annie. TikTok banned me for a week from doing lives because last night's show was misinformation. Sure it was. Sure it was. Very suspicious overall. It came at like, yeah, Big Hawk needs to send a message or write a comment, and I can probably make them a mod. I couldn't do it. It was being bad. It wasn't letting me actually do it when I tried to set this up earlier. But yeah, like 11 o'clock last night, it decided out of nowhere that I had, you know, violated the rules with misinformation. And I was very intrigued because I was like, 11 o'clock at night. That's interesting. Like, TikTok isn't awake at 11 o'clock at night. American TikTok isn't awake at 11 o'clock at night, right? So, right? I mean, they're not awake. So who was it? Where were these were people at TikTok's offices around the world. They weren't Americans. In any case, yes, so they reported me for misinformation, claiming that my daily reports about Ukraine and the news with the war there is misinformation, and or claiming that my reports, because we also talked about Donald Trump yesterday, said that he was going to pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. So I don't know whether informing you about the January 6th insurrectionists is, didn't plug the mic in, is misinformation. Hard to know. So we're going to find out. Anyway, there we go. Sorry, I didn't have the mic plugged in. It's plugged in now. In any case, I appealed, so we're waiting to hear from TikTok on the appeal, and there are additional things that can be done after that. Where's my phone? Oh, my phone's in my pants. I switched clothes because it's so warm here in D.C. now that I was getting too hot. So I put shorts on and my phone's in my shorts. I will live without my phone. It's okay. Let me look here really quick. I'm looking at the white balance. Ooh, that white balance is too much. All right. I was trying to play with the white balance, but it just doesn't. I need to get a new camera. I hate my camera. My TikTok camera's fine. The mic should not be unplugged. The mic is fine. The mic, I'm going to unplug it and replug it. All right, one more time, guys. But there should be nothing affecting the microphone on TikTok. All right. All right, let's see what TikTok did. I unplugged it and replugged it. Hopefully it's good, and then we can start the show, guys. Well, let's see. Ash, I need to know how it is now. I don't care how it was. Yep. No, I don't mean to be rude, but like sorry. You guys are always like 8 seconds delayed, so I never quite know how things are. It's good now? Yay. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's get rolling, guys. We're going to have fewer people on TikTok because, actually, here's the funny thing. We're going to have fewer people in part because the trolls don't know about us yet because this is the backup account. So I'll be very curious, mods, to see just like what happens on TikTok tonight in terms of trolls. We may not be getting any. Also, what we're going to find out too, as soon as I say Donald Trump or Russia, Ukraine, like the key words, whether that somehow triggers stuff. I'm very curious about this. In any case, all right, guys. Well, thank you, mods. I appreciate you being here. Everybody, let's just get rolling. So interestingly enough, the guy on the iron lung who we'd been talking about in the last week, you guys had informed me that like there was the last American on an iron lung, Paul Alexander. He just died, which was wild because we literally just talked about this guy a few days ago. His story was He got polio at the age of 6 years of age. He died at 78. Okay, I mean, absolutely wild. And he was in an iron lung his whole life. And these iron lungs, like I said, anybody who's too young to sort of, you ought to Google these things. The iron lungs are like a metal tube. And they're like a personal submarine. It's crazy. And he had a TikTok account. He had 300,000 followers. The only reason I sort of bring it up is the reason we brought it up before was because Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s organization, his anti-vax organization, came out about a week or two ago, and I got the tweet and showed everybody, and said that the polio vaccine doesn't work. That basically polio is not caused by a virus. The vaccine doesn't work. All lies, all just incredible lies, incredibly dangerous. This is the other thing I talked about last night. I don't know whether this was misinformation. The fact that I said polio is real and the vaccine actually works and the vaccine has actually cured polio worldwide. Not cured it, but prevented polio worldwide. In any case, so yeah, important to keep remembering. And for anybody thinking of voting for RFK Jr., if you were going to vote for Donald Trump, feel free. But otherwise, the man is an anti-vaxxer. His organization doesn't even believe that polio is real. So, you know. In any case, let's move on. Ukraine. It is day 746 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. So, the TikTok. So we might as well start, since we're talking about TikTok, we might as well talk about TikTok. Mods, feel free to explain to people why we're here and not on the regular account, if anybody's asking. TikTok ban. So this is very interesting. I definitely got a notice on TikTok. I got the notice that said, call Congress. Now, basically, the U.S. House of Representatives voted today overwhelmingly to ban TikTok, basically. The legislation said that within 6 months, TikTok would have to be sold, and if it's not sold, it's basically banned in the U.S. They would ban the app, so we wouldn't be able to actually access TikTok with the app. Thank you, Frank. Now, I wonder if we'd be able to access it with the web. Like we might be able to do it on a website, but so many kids, for example, I mean, all of us really, I use my phone when I'm looking up TikTok, really. Right? Yeah, mods, actually, Amanda, feel free to explain a little bit more to folks who are asking what's going on, like why it is, Also, Aravosis backup, they don't know what that is. It's one word, Aravosis backup, one word, and that's my account on TikTok for my backup. TikTok basically took me off the air for a week because I was accused of misinformation for last night's show, which basically means either the Russians got mad or the Trump people got mad. They reported it to TikTok, and somebody at TikTok thought it would be cute to ban me, which the timing really could not be worse. I mean, on a day that the Americans are banning TikTok because they claim that TikTok is taking political sides on the biggest issues of the day, I get banned for misinformation for talking about A, vaccines and polio being real, B, Trump saying he's going to pardon the insurrectionists and saying that's bad for democracy, and C, saying that the Ukraine war is real and the Russians are doing bad things. I would suggest that none of those are misinformation, but very bad timing on TikTok's part. In any case, so what's going on with the ban is members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats, both say that TikTok is taking sides in politics, that it is banning people for expressing opinions that the Communist Party of China disagrees with. Whatever, I'm not gonna take an opinion on that. And that the larger danger is that TikTok has so much information and so much control because 170 million Americans are on TikTok. There are 330 million Americans that the advocates of this legislation say it would, and some of my friends who are very smart say the same thing. It would be very easy for China to start to play games like right before the election day, start to play games with what information is put out to Americans. It could be like what the Russians have done, where they literally put out disinformation, right? Where they literally put out fake information. What is worrisome about this, I say worrisome meaning as a content creator, assuming TikTok doesn't ban me before, the U.S. Congress bans me. What's worrisome is, not worrisome. So what they're saying is TikTok has got to divest itself of the Chinese ownership in 6 months. Otherwise, it'll be banned in the U.S., more or less. The app will be banned. Republicans and Democrats both support. This is, ironically, this is kind of a Republican initiative, but the Democrats are on board. I was seeing a lot of people today criticizing Biden, which is funny because this was a Trump initiative originally. Trump changed his mind in the last couple days. And we talked about this last night too. Trump changed his mind in the last few days because there's a big Republican billionaire who's a big investor in ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok. And this guy does not want TikTok banned because he's a big investor. He is, therefore, Trump changed his mind after meeting with the billionaire. Also, they hired Kellyanne Conway, who is remember Kellyanne Conway, the blonde woman who was one of Trump's big campaign people, and I think his campaign head actually, and also big White House aide. And she's been lobbying Congress on behalf of TikTok. In any case, what is interesting about this is it is a supermajority, something like 352 or so out of 435 members of Congress, of the House, voted for this thing. There were only like 15 Republicans and maybe 50 Democrats who voted against it. I mean, this was super bipartisan, especially in this Congress, right? I mean, you know how Congress is today with Republicans and Democrats, right? They hate each other. They can't get anything done. They passed this anti-TikTok legislation with a super duper majority. That's concerning if you want TikTok to be around. It still has to go to the Senate. The way legislation works in America is it has to pass both bodies independently. So it has to pass the House and pass the Senate. Well, once it passes both houses, typically it's different. Each bill is different, right? The Senate writes its own bill. The House writes its own bill. Well, the bills are different. If it passes both the House and the Senate, then the House and the Senate appoint negotiators, members of Congress, a small number, maybe 10 or 20 or 30, who get together and negotiate out the differences in the bills so they end up literally making one combined bill, right? These members of Congress. Once they make the one combined bill, that one combined bill goes back to the House for a final vote, goes back to the Senate for a final vote. And once that happens, if they pass it, it goes to the president. Biden, blue sky, did in fact say he would sign it. That's concerning. Okay. I say concerning, look, my interest right now is not losing all my income. So by the way, please keep the gifts coming on TikTok and keep the gifts coming on YouTube. I forgot to ask. We're on a different service today. I still need your guys' gifts. I do this full time, and it needs to pay the bills, and it doesn't always pay the bills, can I just say? But please do help if you can. I appreciate the gifts, and I will always try to do a little shout out when I see the big gifts on the screen, like Ellie's hearts there. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Big Hawk. Passing the Senate is not a guarantee. It's not easy to pass things in the Senate. It is much easier for one member of Congress to just block everything in the Senate versus the House. You can kind of steamroll if you've got the majority. Second of all, Biden being on board is I shouldn't say not good, is scary if you're afraid of the legislation passing. Biden being on board means the legislation has a greater chance of passing, okay? Thank you, Frank. I'm trying to think of try to give you, guys, this is sort of up in the air right now. This legislation could pass. Trump, interestingly, as I said, Trump met with a billionaire investor in ByteDance, a billionaire American who has invested in TikTok's parent company. Once he met with the billionaire, Trump changed his mind. Trump is now not in favor of banning TikTok, but his statement was, I would say, a little weak. And even though Trump came out and kind of said he didn't support banning TikTok, the Republicans in the House voted overwhelmingly to ban TikTok. So Trump, on this one, isn't making a clear enough. People weren't listening to him. House Republicans were not listening to Trump on this vote. It could be because Trump wasn't clear enough. Trump kind of said this publicly, but Trump also might have told Republicans privately, go ahead and vote for it. It's possible. Because otherwise, thank you, Alex, otherwise it's not entirely clear why Trump's word wasn't enough to kill the bill. Thank you, Allie, as well, for the heart and mustache. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think there's a chance Congress could kill this. Again, Biden's on board. Trump was on board, but he flip-flopped now. House Republicans, wildly on board. House Democrats, wildly on board. They could ban this thing. I mean, if I were China and if I were TikTok, I'd be worried. Now, TikTok, I think, finally did get smart. And like I said, they hired Kellyanne Conway. They're hiring lobbyists. I think they're going to need lobbyists to pull this off because this is, let's see what happens. Now, I will say one final thing is Congress is kind of famous for this. I used to work in the Congress. I was a top aide to a Republican senator way back a very long time ago. Thank you, Lori. I did arms control, but I also did some foreign policy, some domestic policy, commerce, which this legislation might go through the Commerce Committee in the Senate. Well, Kitchen, I know we're on the backup account, Kitchen. So what do you do? What were we saying? Sorry, I was looking at the comment. This is why I try not to read the comments like at this part of the show, because I like to read them and respond, but then I respond and I forget what I'm saying. We were saying TikTok, the ban. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So what Congress sometimes does is they try to work out a compromise that sounds tough but is less tough. Thank you, Lori. So it's entirely possible that they'll come up with something short of demanding a ban, but that will try to tighten the screws on TikTok to try to make them, take action, basically. I don't know, guys. This is going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So, in any case, let's move on with Ukraine. Thank you, Dark Phoenix, for the dinosaur. Please keep the gifts coming, guys. Since we're not getting as many people today on the backup account, I need your gifts more than ever, so thank you. I remind you of your school days. It's oddly comforting. Well, I'm glad it's comforting. I have no idea what that means exactly, but what the hell? Were your school days online? Thank you, Joe, for the hat. Who else is that? Thank you, Marie. And Mark Star. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that, guys. Let's get on with Ukraine now. So, okay, Ukraine. We finished talking about TikTok. We can talk about it during the Q&A as well. Thank you, Grace. We can talk about sort of the TikTok ban a little bit later as well. Today is day 746. Thank you, Jetta. Of Putin's 3-day special military operation in Ukraine. Ukraine struck more Russian oil refineries today, which is pretty wild. And that's not disinformation. Thank you, Lori, for the garland. So Ukraine struck Russian oil refineries for the second day with a heavy drone attack, causing a fire at Rosneft's biggest refinery in one of the most serious attacks against Russia's energy sector in recent months. Thank you, Cheryl. Very nice gift. Actually, those are beautiful. Very interesting. So thank you, Bryce. I've been saying for a few months now that it seems rather clear that by the way, guys, one other thing that might help as well. YouTube, it always helps anyway, but on TikTok, like the show, click the screen. Actually, I'm trying to think. Supposedly there's stickers and things, and I always forget this. But let me look really quick. There's stickers and things I can put up, but I don't quite know how to do them. Oh, thank you, Ellie. Let me look really quick. Okay, it's not in. Is it enhance stickers? Let's see what the stickers do. Okay. Check it out. That's weird. Now it's not going to go away. I knew this was going to happen. Wait, there it is. I knew if I tried to do something funky on TikTok, it would do something weird. Oh, do I have to write that? Where do I write the text? Image, hang on, Valentine's Day. Thank members. Hold on, guys. I'm just looking here. I'm trying to get the, support my team, but that doesn't really explain what that is. So I'm trying to, put stuff here. If I were working at TikTok, they would do so much better. For example, if we want people to click the little hearts on TikTok, there ought to be a TikTok sticker that says, click the heart, right? Double touch the screen. How about a TikTok that says give gifts, right? Okay, this is useless. Yeah, so I'm looking at this. The only thing is it doesn't let me actually pick the text that goes in here. Follow me. All right, I'm giving up, guys. Oh, follow me works. Okay, follow me works. There we go. We'll do follow me. All right, and thank you for the gift there, Frank. But yeah, click the screen and do all of that because it can help. That just took way too long. I was watching videos on, how to be a better TikToker. And it said, put little stickers on the screen. Thank you, Joe. So I'm looking at the stickers, and the stickers aren't very helpful. They're not really that well done. So anyway, what do you do? It's okay. So what were we saying, guys? So oil. Yeah. So the Ukrainians, for several months now, the Ukrainians have clearly tried to hit the Russian oil production a lot more than they did previously. This is new. I mean, they're clearly hitting it. They're just hitting it a lot more, and I'm sort of very intrigued by this. Oh, who was that? Thank you, Running. I'm very intrigued by this because we'll see what sort of happens over the coming months. But they're clearly hitting them hard, which is good, but very interesting. And anyway, they did it again today. Czech National Security Advisor says that they have purchased ammunition that could be sent to Ukraine as early as June. This is the Czech initiative to get artillery ammunition to sell to Ukraine. The Czech Prime Minister says the purchase of 300,000 artillery rounds has been confirmed and a further 200,000 has been pledged. Here's my problem with this. We were told a week ago that the Czech government had almost all of the ammunition paid for. Now we're told they've got 300,000 paid for, not 800,000. That bothers me a little bit. So let's see, but they've got at least 300,000 rounds coming, which is still something that's good. And another 200,000 hopefully coming, but they're still trying to get more money, which also means the European countries have not been standing up enough to pay for the ammunition, which I'm not happy. The Kremlin militias. So the anti-Kremlin militias, you know, the guys who are the basically Russians who are fighting Putin, and they're doing it from Ukraine, and the Ukrainians are clearly helping them. Well, apparently fighting continued today in 5 towns on the border of Ukraine with Russia. We don't have really any more confirmation of what was happening, but the fighting's still going on, which is good. Oh, this was great. Russia says it will not participate in the Switzerland peace talks if it is invited. So Switzerland is having some peace talks for Ukraine. I believe this is the 4th set of peace talks. Remember how they had one, I think, in Norway, maybe? One was in Saudi Arabia. This, I believe, is one of the follow-on from that series of peace talks. And they're going to be having it in Switzerland. And the Swiss are, well, initially Russia wasn't going to be invited. Russia has not been invited to any of this. They were talking about the possibility of inviting Russia, right? Thank you, crazy. And the Russians are now saying, if you invite us, we're not going to come. What is interesting to me, and I've said this before as far as the expression, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? If you're Russia, why come to peace talks? You're winning, right? I mean, Russia's not winning by a lot, but thank you, Janice. Thank you, crazy. But after the MAGA Republicans cut off all aid to Ukraine, that was a windfall for Putin and a windfall for the Russians. They're slowly winning in Ukraine. I mean, it's very slow. They're getting little towns. But again, getting little towns is better than losing little towns, right? I mean, so the Russians are, I would say, winning slowly. Thank you, Christine. The Russians will be winning more and more as the months go on because the Ukrainians are going to get lower and lower on ammunition. The Russians aren't, not nearly as much. They've got a hell of a lot more ammunition than the Ukrainians have. There's concern about the Ukrainians also losing Patriot missiles, guys. The Ukrainians need more Patriot missiles to basically shoot down the Russian rockets as they're coming into Ukrainian cities. Well, pretty soon, that's going to be a problem. So if I'm Russia, after MAGA Republicans, at the demand of Donald Trump, after MAGA Republicans, thank you, Marie. You know what I did today, too? You know who to get on TikTok. You know what I did today, too? I just uploaded a new emote or emoji or whatever of the goat. I made the goat for you guys. And actually, YouTube, somebody remind me later, I've got to do it on YouTube as well because the YouTube subscribers also have special emojis they can use. I need to make the goat for you. So maybe one of the mods remind me later in our chat on Discord that I need to make the goat emoji for YouTube. But on TikTok, if you're a paid subscriber, I actually still have it, which is great, which is really cool. Anyway, let's keep going here. So yeah, so it looks like the Russians kind of realized that if the Republicans are going to cut off all funding to Ukraine, why does Russia have to negotiate at all? You know? What else we got here? More war threats. So yeah, so Putin's threatening war again. Big surprise. Oh yeah, this was great. So this was from the Russians. This stuff just makes me laugh. I'm sorry. It just is so ridiculous when they do this. Listen to this. So please keep the gifts coming, by the way, guys. You know that. And again, we don't have as many people today, so all the more important that some gifts come in. TikTok is being mean to me. So, oh, thank you. Who's that? Annie. Thank you, Annie. Speak of the devil. That was really pretty. Thank you for that. More war threats. So Russia has, well, listen to this, okay? Actually, before I even read this story, thank you, Frank. I'm going to remind you of what I say about how if somebody goes, do you know who I am? Do you know who my father is? Do you know I can hurt you? I can hurt you. And they say it like 100 times. It usually means their father isn't anybody, they're not anybody, and they can't really hurt you, right? Boss, basically, right? They're just, it's not. Thank you, Luis. The Russians threaten war every day. Russian television, I was reading about this earlier. I mean, we know it because we've seen it, but I was reading about it earlier. Russian television, like nearly every night, is talking about nuking the West. They're going to nuke Berlin. They're going to nuke Estonia. They're going to nuke France. They're going to nuke London. I mean, it's incredibly immature and irresponsible. And for the TikTok moderators, this is not disinformation. It is immature and irresponsible to threaten nuclear war every day. I hope you agree, to our TikTok overlords. But it's incredibly irresponsible. But it also is a sign of weakness. It's a sign that they're not going to do it. But I'm gonna have a second story on that in a second. But listen to this. So this was the latest threat from the Russians. Okay, Russia has warned that the West is walking on the edge of the abyss. I love their language too because it's so goofy. I mean, and the war in Ukraine could escalate beyond Ukrainian borders. Speaking in the past few moments, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said the actions of one or two NATO members could see the conflict spill over and become out of control. On the potential escalation, she said the West is walking on the edge of the abyss and pushing the world to the edge. So let's have a little chat here. You and what army, as the expression goes, right? Russia, now, I think Russia is slowly winning because the Republicans cut off all American aid to Ukraine. But the Russians are winning with a small W, right? They took them months and months and months to take Avdiivka, this little town of 30,000 people. Some estimates are the Russians killed. The Russian lost in the sense of died. 30,000 Russian troops may have died trying to take this little insignificant town, okay? The Russians are winning, but they're winning what I've called a Pyrrhic victory, where you win, but you lose so much, right? With what army do the Russians think, thank you, adventurers, do they think that they're next going to take on Poland, or they're next going to take on the Baltic states? And again, once they declare war on the Baltic states or Poland, then all the rest of us are involved, right? I mean, Trump, who knows? Thank you, Tom. Trump has said he's not going to get involved. He's not going to save Europe. And Trump has also said that he has urged Putin to invade Europe. But if Biden's president, we're getting involved. And even if Trump is president, I still think if war breaks out in Europe and the Russians invade, it would be very, very difficult even for Donald Trump, who is beholden to Putin. It'd be very difficult for him, thank you, Christine, for him to be able to basically back out and not help Europe if the Russians invade. So, my question is, with what army do the Russians plan on taking on the Poles? With what army do the Russians plan on taking on the Norwegians, the Finns, the Swedes, right? Norway alone. Norway and Poland alone? Oh my God, the bloody nose Russia would get. I mean, the Polish military is incredibly strong. Historically, the Finns, I said Norway. Norway actually is very strong. I misspoke by saying Norway, but Norwegian military is super strong, actually. I meant Finland. Finland has kicked Russia's butt once. I mean, they sort of lost in the end, but 3 wars, they went nuts on the Russians. For 3 years, they went nuts on the Russians during World War II. You get what I'm saying, though? Like, how are the Russians going to, they're having a very hard time beating Ukraine. They're 3 years into a war that was supposed to take 10 days. And they're going to go to war with Poland, with Norway, with Finland, with France, with Britain. It is the bravado of the naive coming from these guys. Now, Michael Clark on Sky News basically said the same thing I just said. He was asked about all of these threats from the Russians. Michael Clark is a defense analyst on Sky News. He's very good. Very, just kind of reasonable, reasoned, like a sort of a smart, reasonable guy in the way that educated Brits can be, Thank you. Who is that, Maddie? Thank you, Maddie. Please keep the gifts coming, guys. And do share my live. Click the like button, or double tap the screen for the hearts. All of that helps on TikTok. YouTube as well, frankly. Like my live, follow me, do all the regular stuff you guys do. So listen to this from Michael Clark. He says, Putin says every time we have, because Putin also recently threatened nuclear war as well. Putin says every time we have nuclear weapons, we'll use our nuclear weapons to defend our integrity. He said there's nothing new here, but he likes to use the nuclear phrase because he knows it gets people excited. Clark adds, there are statements from pundits almost every night on state TV in Russia that it should nuke the West, nuke Poland, nuke Britain. They all say this. He's saying, like, this is just standard fare for the Russians. It gets better, though. Hang on. Thank you, Flower Lady. Even now as we speak, there is a vanguard. Oh, so he says, but to put all this in context, right, of all the scary Russian threats, even now as we speak, there is a British Vanguard submarine somewhere in the North Atlantic with nuclear weapons on board. If the British Prime Minister gave the order now to go nuclear, 55 minutes later, that British nuclear submarine would launch 8 missiles with 5 warheads each. That'd be 45 nuclear bombs. And about 20 minutes after that, Moscow would be destroyed. So there's that. But I like it because Moscow would be destroyed. So there's that. Like, basically, what I've been telling you, which is, yeah, Russia could launch their nukes, and then the Americans and the Brits and the French would literally wipe Moscow, St. Petersburg, and every Russian city, more than 100,000 people, off the map. That's not bravado. That's a fact. This is why I think what the Russians are saying is BS. Thank you, Larissa. And the Russians will not be using their nukes because it's bull. I mean, it's not going to happen. It's ridiculous. But think Putin. Putin's former KGB. Putin is all about psyching you out. So always think about this, because I always say this. The Russians, thank you, Tom, Russians as a matter of policy, the Russian government lies. They lie. And this was another point I made last night. Maybe TikTok thought this was disinformation, but if they got some scholars to actually study Russia like I did in graduate school at Georgetown, they might learn that this stuff is true. But the Russians lie as a matter of policy. The Americans don't, the French don't, the Brits don't. Most developed countries, they don't really lie nonstop as a matter of policy. The Russians do. Putin is not saying he's going to use nukes because he's going to use nukes. The U.S. doesn't lie, though, George. That's the thing. Politicians, everyone lies. You know, like I may lie to my mother and say I'm feeling fine today, but I've really got a cold. That's different than saying I'm going to launch nuclear weapons. The Russians, the government lies about everything. Literally, practically everything the Russian government lies about. The Ukrainian government doesn't. The American government certainly doesn't do. The French government, the British government don't. It's a totally different order of magnitude. Thank you, Shane. And I ask folks on this show to be, we're smarter than a lot of folks out there. Who is that? Christine. Thank you, Christine. A lot of the folks on TikTok, a lot of folks on YouTube. I try to sort of have a smarter show. And I ask you to be nuanced. And I ask you to look for fineness, for finesse here. And as you know in life, there are people who lie, and then there are people who lie, right? Everybody lies does not mean everybody lies equally, right? We all are familiar with the phrase pathological liar, right? A pathological liar is somebody who literally can't help themselves. They lie nonstop. I could think of a certain former president who's a pathological liar. And I'm being quite serious. I'm not being funny, right? That everything the man says is a lie. That's different than I don't like him, so I'm going to call him a liar. I mean, quite literally, the man's a liar. Russia does this too. They've lied about pretty much everything in the war. The Ukrainians haven't lied nearly as much. I would say very little from Zelensky. Actually, the only lie I would say from Zelensky, literally the only lie that I've seen in the last 2 years of covering the war, Zelensky lied about the number of war dead, of Ukrainian war dead, number of soldiers. He said the other day that only 31,000 Ukrainian troops have died. That's not true. It's easily twice that. It's probably much more than twice that. In his defense, A, the guy hasn't really lied about anything else in 2 years of war that we've been following. B, as the president of the country at war, and you're facing an existential war, you really can't give your people regular updates on the number of your own citizens who are dead. Thank you, James. That's just depressing, right? You can't tell people, well, today another 1,000 of our citizens have died. Yay! I mean, it's going to depress people. If you say we've lost 100,000 soldiers or 200,000 soldiers or whatever, that's just going to depress people. You just can't give those numbers. You just can't. So I understand why Zelensky didn't, but it's the only time I can think of in the last 2.5 years, or the last 2 years, that Zelensky's lied about anything. As I said, in any case, back to the Russians. So yeah, it's always keep that in mind with the Russians. Like I said, when they make any threats, They lie about a lot. They really do. Now, final story tonight. There wasn't a ton of news tonight, although, as always, we've gone 40 minutes without a ton of news. Please keep the gifts coming on TikTok, guys, YouTube as well. The final news, listen to this. Russia's presidential elections are this weekend. Putin's going to win by a lot because Russian presidential elections are not fair. They're not. Russia's not a democracy. It's a dictatorship. So we know the elections aren't going to be fair. Putin, however, and I'm really not sure why about this. It's kind of strange. Putin has been very worried about the elections. He's been really cracking down. He killed Navalny. I mean, everyone thinks he killed Navalny, the opposition leader, right? 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago now, maybe a month ago now, actually, that he tried to kill 4 years ago and finally killed him a couple weeks ago. He's been arresting other opposition. They went to court and stopped a bunch of the opposition candidates from even running against Putin. Well, they just arrested the head of the presidential campaign of a former presidential candidate in Russia who was the only one, I think, who was openly anti-war, anti the war in Ukraine, which is very dangerous in Russia. That's the kind of stuff that'll get you thrown in prison. Well, the Russians have just arrested the campaign chair of the former president, and the former presidential candidate got kicked out of the race because the Russian court said, oh, your signatures are all fake. Now, it's entirely possible that his signatures are all fake. It's also entirely possible that this is Russia and the court system doesn't really work. I mean, it's a dictatorship. Putin said, I don't want this guy running against me. I don't want him talking about how bad the war is. And they got rid of him. Well, listen to this, what they did now. They arrested the head of this guy's campaign, his campaign manager of one of the opposition candidates who they're not even let run. Putin arrested him with the election coming up this weekend. They arrested him because he wrote a message on Telegram, which is a social media app that the Russians like a lot. And his message contained a rainbow emoji. It contained a little image of a rainbow. And that was enough to get the guy arrested. Because in Russia, rainbows are gay under Russian law. This is hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious because they're a dictatorship. I mean, it's very scary in many ways, obviously. But in Russia, they passed a law about basically anti-gay, anti-trans law. And the law says, and of course, it's all for the children. It's not all for the children, of course. The law says if you do anything that suggests that being gay or trans is okay, you will be thrown in jail. You can't do anything. A woman was recently arrested because she had earrings with rainbows on them. Rainbows, okay? Right? I mean, right? Space Cadet is an actual troll, guys. Block them permanently. They're not just for... that person isn't just to be muted. That's a block. Yeah. That's an anti-gay. I was going to say we had some anti-gay trolls today on TikTok. Actually, TikTok's got a lot of anti-gay, homophobic people, which is really kind of scary. I did my video on this earlier, and the comments were all anti-gay haters like that guy. I mean, really, it's weird when you're talking about a dictatorship and B, a dictatorship that throws people in jail for being gay, that you'd get all of these sort of crazies coming out and going, yay! But, this is the internet. You kind of get everybody. What do you do? So in any case, in Russia, you cannot do anything. Sorry, the light is coming in and doing all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, for TikTok and YouTube, forgive it. The sun is doing fun things. You cannot do anything publicly that suggests that you are approving of gay or trans, or you will go to jail. As I said, a woman recently had rainbow earrings, and they said, rainbow, that's like the gay rainbow. They arrested her. This guy literally had a rainbow emoji in his Telegram post. They arrested him. Now, the funny thing is, a Russian member of parliament tried to explain that, trying to make them sound more reasonable, right? The Russian member of parliament goes, Russian lawmaker Alexander Kinstin told the state news outlet Kommersant that the law did not ban rainbows outright. Listen to this. Kinstin claimed a classic 7-color rainbow was permissible under the new law. So in other words, if you have 7 colors in the rainbow, that's okay. If you have 6 colors, the rainbow's gay. I mean, Now, actually, what isn't funny about this is that Putin, this is part of Putin's whole shtick is to pretend like he's the biggest Christian of all. That's part of Putin's big thing. And it is part of the reason why Tucker Carlson and the MAGA Republicans, and even before Trump, Republicans about, I'd say a good 5 years before Trump, we started making fun of Republicans because a lot of them were being just very in love with Putin. It was creepy. And they loved him because he believes in traditional values. He hates gays and trans people. He believes in traditional values, and he's a religious man. Putin's not religious at all. The Russians, by the way, are not very religious at all. I just looked at the numbers. 6% of Russian Orthodox is the religion in Russia. There isn't a lot of other religion in Russia other than Russian Orthodox. Of the Russian Orthodox, only 6% of them go to church every week. In America, 36% of religious people go to church, synagogue, or mosque every week. 6 times as much. Russia is not Ukraine, much more religious than Russia, by the way, interestingly. But Putin has put out this disinformation, to quote a phrase from TikTok, that the Russians are the super defenders of the faith, and that's why they hate the gay and the trans and all this kind of nasty stuff. And they're doing it because it's the way Putin wants to distinguish. Well, A, he wins over the MAGA Republicans, which is kind of scary because he did. But B, it's the way he distinguishes Russia from the West by saying, oh, in Europe, they've got the gays. In Europe, they've got the trans. They've got rainbows, lots of rainbows. My Little Pony, right? And it's part of Putin's whole strongman thing, because it's a very authoritarian, a very fascist thing to basically hate minorities. I mean, that's part of the fascist playbook, really. Thank you, Ava. Very scary stuff. Anyway, very scary stuff. All right, we are done with the show. I mean, we're still here. I'm going to hang out. We will talk. Actually, we did get our followers up to about 500. That's not so bad. We're a little bit low today. Stop lying about Russia. By the way, I love that. You used your talking point. That's so cute. That's so adorable. The troll used their talking points. Remember I told you how I put the goat down and he screamed again. Remember how I told you that one of the things the Russian trolls do is they have their talking points that they don't use at the right time? And one of them they use is like, you're lying. The lie talking point the Russian trolls use all the time. But they use it at really wrong times, right? And like that, it didn't quite make sense. Like, you're lying about Russia. I'm lying that Russia just arrested the opposition leader's campaign manager for putting a rainbow in his Telegram account, but he did. And the Russian papers reported on it. So what actually are we lying about, right? But they don't care because the talking points they're given, they just sort of, I think these are people who don't speak English, to be honest. I think they drop in and then they go to the next feed. And they don't really, it's never related to anything going on, which is really fascinating. Really fascinating. Any case, so yes, let's do our Q&A. Just to remind folks, since the mods are telling everybody else too. So TikTok banned me yesterday. They banned my lives for a week because they claimed that last night's live was misinformation. That I was part of some plot to misinform you all about, I guess, Ukraine. Donald Trump saying he was going to pardon the January 6th insurrectionists, and Ukraine. Those were the two big topics we had. Actually, we did talk about polio too. I did say polio was real and was caused by a virus and the vaccine works. I'm not sure which of those TikTok. By the way, it was somebody at 10:50 at night, which I find very interesting, as I said earlier, because that means it wasn't TikTok America. It was somebody else. If it was 11 o'clock at night, it was somebody, a moderator from TikTok in some other country, which is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So, yeah. In any case, I'm still banned. There's an appeal. I have big people waiting to weigh in with TikTok if the ban doesn't get uplifted soon. I will say, I think TikTok really shoots itself in the foot. Today is the day that America is discussing whether TikTok is run by the Chinese Communist Party and whether TikTok suppresses speech that the Chinese Communist Party disagrees with. And that's the same day that I get struck with a misinformation attack claiming that my reporting about Ukraine and Donald Trump is misinformation. Thank you, Love Mai, for the heart and for the rose as well. It's just a very weird timing. I mean, I just think it's poor timing. And they've got, I literally was watching people on TV, members of Congress say, do you know they ban people who write things and say things that TikTok doesn't like? And I'm literally watching the TV going, like, hello. Now, again, I love TikTok. I mean, that's the thing. I freaking love TikTok. I do think there's a risk, but I think the risk isn't just TikTok. It scares the hell out of me what Facebook has on me. It scares the hell out of me what Google has on me, right? All the advertising that these guys, I mean, guys, we jump around the web. We've been jumping around the web for 25 years now, 30 years. Imagine the information they've got on us. All the websites you go to. I mean, quite literally, TikTok figured out I was gay in 3 days. Within 3 days, TikTok started sending me all of these like gay TikTok videos. And it was weird. Like, I don't get any now because like I don't generally look up gay videos on TikTok. Within 3 days, TikTok knew I was gay. I kid you, it was weird. And like I said, now TikTok has figured out that actually I'm not really into gay videos. I'm into food videos. I want to watch people making recipes and I want to watch comedians. They still haven't figured out the comedian thing, but they did figure out the food thing. But literally 3 freaking days, guys. I called a friend. I even told him, I said, that's freaking scary. I mean, that is really, oops. Okay, is my phone hiding somewhere here? Maybe my phone is here. I think my phone's inside, but I just heard it go off, so who knows where it is. Oh, well, it's somewhere. I don't know where it is. Or is that, oh, Callum, ooh, interesting. Callum just sent me an article from the BBC. Let me see. Hang on a second here. Okay, why are you doing this in the middle of my show? Oh, there they are. Hold on. I'm in the middle of my show, but TikTok banned me for a week, so I'm doing it in my backup account. So you might want to go there so I can go back to my show. It's Aravosis Backup, okay? No, I've got my, yes, but, oh, that's okay, but oh, thank you, but I'm still live, so let's talk later, okay? Goodbye, thank you. He is such a freaking goof. That was Dutch Cossack, one of our wonderful regulars, who called so I could find my phone. I was like, yes, but could I finish the show first before you call so I could find my phone? So listen to this article. UK to ban foreign state ownership of newspapers. Foreign governments will be banned from owning UK newspapers, so British newspapers and news magazines, the government has said. It follows criticism of a proposed takeover of the Daily Telegraph and Spectator by a United Arab Emirates-backed investment firm. Honestly, they're right. They should ban it. The government said the proposed legislation would deliver additional protections for a free press. Very interesting. Now, I will say, I do not think foreign governments should be owning our newspapers. That's really scary. Thank you. Who's that? Simon. Thank you, Simon. That's really scary. Let me look here. Thank you, Darren. I want to make sure I didn't miss any gifts while I was reading and doing all of that. Darren again. Thank you, my friend. Ben says, why do you think Trump allowed the GOP to vote on, let alone pass this bill in the House when he came out in favor of TikTok? I don't know. So what Darren's talking about is that Donald Trump was in favor of banning TikTok. He tried to ban TikTok during his presidency, by the way. The courts intervened. He failed. Trump yesterday or the day before came out opposed to the sale, opposed to banning TikTok. Now, his opposition was a bit milquetoast. It was a bit wishy-washy, but he basically said, well, if you ban TikTok, then you're giving all the power to, Zuckerberg. And he made fun of Zuckerberg's last name, which is really creepy when you do it to anybody who's ethnic. Zuckerberg's Jewish and his name is obviously Jewish. A little bit creepy. I mean, when you take an ethnic last name and make fun of it, it's always creepy. I mean, again, if it's a Muslim name, a Jewish name, an Italian name, it's bigoted. You should be very careful making fun of anybody's name, especially when it's an ethnic name. That's my general observation. I think most of you know that. In any case, he said it's only giving more power to Zuckerberg, but nonetheless, the House Republicans voted for it. They voted for it. They voted to ban TikTok, even though Trump said no. So I don't know. I think it's very weird. I think it's very weird. Having said that, Trump, I think, clearly did. I think Trump may be playing both sides. Mind you, Trump met with a billionaire. Think about this too. Trump met with a billionaire. The billionaire is already involved. The billionaire is part of the Club for Growth. Club for Growth, big right-wing Republican organization, pro-business, but very kind of right-wing on issues. Club for Growth has hired Kellyanne Conway, former Trump campaign manager, former Trump White House official, big Republican consultant, big Republican pollster, to lobby Congress about the TikTok ban, to kill the ban. Trump meets with the billionaire and says that he's not sure the ban's a good idea. I've got a feel, knowing Trump, I think, gave permission for them to pass this in the House. I think Trump is trying to play all sides right now. Trump is probably playing the billionaire and trying to say, well, once you buy those ads for me, for example, I'll tell I'll tell Republicans to kill TikTok. But right, so Trump said he didn't like he doesn't like the ban, but Trump isn't coming out against the ban fully because I think Trump is waiting for a quid pro quo. He's waiting, right? I'd like you to do me a favor, though, right? Before Trump acts. That would be my guess, knowing Donald Trump. And my guess, too, is Trump knows that Republicans hate the Chinese. I mean, America, not a fan of China. America likes China culturally. America, not a fan of China politically. Communists, America, super not a fan of communists. I mean, across the board, none of us are. I mean, communist for America has maybe young people, it's a little different, but for certainly people my age and older, the whole communist thing, I won't even give you the time of day if you claim you're a communist. That's just crazy, right, in America. Trump is very anti-China in some ways. The Republicans are super anti-China. I think Trump is probably a little bit worried that if he defends TikTok too much, he's defending the Communist Party of China, and that could get him in trouble with the Republican base, right? That Republicans overall might not like it. So that's my guess as to what's going on. Adjusting the light a little bit for YouTube. There we go. But that's my guess as to what's going on, Ben, as to why, a little bit more light, as to why Trump is sort of taking a position, but Republicans in Congress aren't necessarily listening to him. Could this billionaire want to be the one to buy TikTok? Now, that's kind of funny. That's an interesting concept. And he's trying to get the value down. Maybe. It's very interesting. I don't know. It's very interesting. Anyway, thank you, Fred, for the hat and mustache. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Gideon, that's not even English. I don't even know what that is. That's just not even English. Somebody's pretending they're MAGA, but he wrote something that really doesn't. I'm not convinced that was American English. Got to tell you, I don't think you're really MAGA. I don't think so. Thank you, Escaping. Although he did say, actually, we talked about this. Maybe TikTok didn't like this last night. He said he wants to return America to the way it was 4 years ago. You mean COVID? You mean lockdowns? You mean when I couldn't see my mother for a year and a half, who was in her 90s? I couldn't go home for Christmas. I couldn't go home for Easter to see my family because of COVID. I couldn't even buy toilet paper at one point. They didn't have toilet paper in the store in Donald Trump's America. That's what you want us to go back to? Really? Really? Now, we did talk about that. I wonder if TikTok thinks that's misinformation, mentioning the fact that we didn't have toilet paper 4 years ago, the fact that we had COVID and that it was out of control. Maybe. Guess we're going to find out in the next few hours. Actually, let me look and see. Let me see if my appeal went through. You never know with TikTok. Oh, hello. What is that? Oh, that was cool, Flower Lady. I'm glad I looked up. I was like, whoa, that was wild. There were like little bear gingerbread people on a drive. Post a video to win up to 1,000. Yep. Still haven't done the appeal yet, TikTok. We're still waiting. Okay. Yep. TikTok still. That was a very cool gift. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Diana said the refrigeration trucks as morgues. We talked about that too last night. I wonder if TikTok thought that was misinformation. The fact that in America, we literally had refrigerator trucks outside hospitals because there were so many dead bodies, to basically store the dead bodies. That's how disgusting it was 4 years ago and how horrible it was. Thank you, Eden. just boggles my mind sometimes. Anyway, yeah, 4 more years. Great. Not 4 more years, but let's go back to where we were 4 years ago. Any case, what else we got though? I don't know what that means, Martin. You got banned from X today? Oh, you know what Elon Musk did, which was very funny. So Elon Musk freaked out. Don Lemon is this African-American newscaster. I like him. I actually liked him. He was a host at CNN, got fired at CNN, little snafu, but honestly, I thought Don Lemon was great. And I thought it was a bit of bullshit why they fired him, but whatever. Thank you, Chris. And Don Lemon decides he's going to do like his new show because he fired from CNN. And he's going to do his new show. The show is on Twitter. And his first interview is with Elon Musk. So he does the show with Elon Musk, and he asks Elon Musk about his drug use. Because Elon, I guess, I'm not really up on this, but something about ketamine, or I don't know what it is. I just don't know the details of it. But Elon must have talked about this stuff publicly or whatever. Asks Elon about it, and Elon gets upset. And a few hours later, Elon sends a message to Don Lemon's team that organized, because Don Lemon basically took Elon's offer and said, okay, I'll do a news show on Twitter, because Twitter is trying to do these video shows. A couple hours later, Elon Musk sends the message to Don Lemon's team and says, contract canceled. So Elon, who claims to be a free speech absolutist, canceled one of the biggest celebrities he got, thank you, Christine, to come to Twitter. Canceled their contract because they interviewed Elon and they were, asked him hard questions. I mean, come on. Really? Come on. I mean, give me a break. He says there was a contract and it was canceled. So, I mean, no real word on all the drone strikes inside Russia. Part of the problem is, there's a lot of Ukrainian drone strikes on Russia. We know there was some hits on oil fields, which is great. Not oil fields, but oil refineries in Russia for the second day today. The problem is, I think it is difficult for us to really know how things are going, and what the actual, adjusting my, let's try that. I'm trying to make this better again on TikTok. On YouTube. There we go. That's a little better. It's hard to know kind of how these attacks are going because, the Ukrainians aren't going to say, oh, we attacked Russia and all our drones got shot down. But the Russians keep claiming all the drones got shot down, and there's no reason to believe the Russians, right? So we don't really know kind of what's going on. So, yeah, the Russian Legion guys, Michael or Mikhail's asking, it's fun. We don't know what effect it's having. It's clearly meant to be a little bit of a psychological warfare thing. That basically the Ukrainians are trying to mess with the Russians' head. They're using Russians to form these military units that go and then invade Russia from Ukraine and start taking over towns and attacking, military and everything else. And I don't know whether it'll have any effect, but it certainly is going to freak the Russians out. Right? Because they're worried about literally losing their towns to Russians. So, I look at it as being a really effective psychological warfare campaign to freak the Russians out, basically. That's basically what it is. I did not change my TikTok name. This is my backup account because TikTok banned my other account for a week because they claimed my live videos are misinformation. So that's hopefully going to get fixed shortly. Some overzealous TikTok moderator. So, anyway, what else is going on, guys? Oh, interesting. I wouldn't be surprised, though. Somebody said one of the flags was geolocated inside Ukraine. Guys, it's all about psychological warfare. If I were the Russian Legion guys, I'd put up fake stuff. Absolutely. I would put up flags pretending I was in Russia. Part of it, by the way, some of that's disinformation, right? You're trying to literally, thank you, Simon, again for the rose. You're trying to freak out the Russians. So you want them to think, oh my God, we're inside this town in Russia, because then the Russians send all the troops and there's nobody there. And you waste their time and you take troops away from somewhere else, Chris, wasn't the billionaire the one who posted his bond? I did not hear that. Thank you, Martin. I also am not sure if you could do that, like whether that would be a campaign contribution or what. I guess it wouldn't be a campaign contribution. Thank you, Lamb Chop. I did not hear that, so I don't know. The RNC's finances, I haven't talked about it. I mean, we know the Republican headquarters have had really big problems with money. And now they've got Donald Trump's daughter-in-law running it, and she just fired everybody. She fired a ton of people. They brought in this lunatic from his campaign, this woman who was part of Trump's whole "the election was stolen" thing. What's her name? I was going to say Lauren Bobbitt. That's not it. Christina Bobbitt or something, or what's her name? Who's just like, woo! And she's now going to be some senior person at the Republican headquarters. And I mean, Christina Bobb. There you go. Thank you, Joe. Christina Bobb. There was a video of her yesterday. I mean, she is like Trump election denial on steroids. Bobbitt. It made me think Bobbitt when I saw her name. Just crazy. Yeah. Chubb Insurance posted, but yeah, I don't know who posted his bond. I don't know. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Oh, I'm tired today. Oh, yeah, this time change. We had our time change yesterday. It really screwed me up. It just really screwed me up. TikTok, you know who to get. Christina Bobb was her name, Ben. Made me think Bobbert. Or I'm thinking of Bobbert and Bobbert. There was a couple. There was the woman who kind of cut off her husband's. That was Lorena Bobbitt. And then there's that kooky Republican member of Congress from Colorado. Oh my God, I'm spacing out her name. Help me, guys. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Marjorie Taylor Greene's little mini-me. Although they hate each other, which is very funny. Boebert or whatever. Yeah. Is she like a Lorena? What's her first name? Hobbit. That's funny. What's her first name? She's not a Lorena. She's another Lauren. That's it. Lauren Boebert. See, because there was Lorena Bobbitt, I think, was the woman who cut off her husband's. So Lauren Boebert always confuses me too. All these names are too close. They're too close. Yep. Jesse, I hope you're not being serious over on YouTube suggesting that masks don't work. Seriously? Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Some Democrats still think masks work. You know who else think masks work? Your surgeon thinks masks work. I mean, this is something, guys, are you joking or are you being serious? You can't be being serious. I don't think you're being serious, are you? You're a contributor. You don't mean that. You can't seriously mean that you think masks don't work. Dude. I mean, the thing is, that's not even negotiable. That was one of those weird things that Trump supporters came up with, this whole idea, and Republicans, that masks don't work. Mask, surgery, mask. I mean, I shouldn't even have to explain this. You know what I mean? Do you think your doctor in surgery is doing theater? Pretending? Masks stop viruses from going into the air. We know they do. Masks work, and polio virus works too. I mean, polio vaccine works too. That's just, dude, you're how are you a subscriber and you think that? I mean, I appreciate you're a subscriber, but that's insane. That's absolutely insane. This is something where I think, and I fault Democrats, but I fault moderate Republicans. I also fault people in the middle, that we sort of let people put stuff like that out there without pushing back nearly enough. That's crazy talk. I'm sorry, but that's just absolutely crazy talk. And they literally, and the vaccine doesn't work. I mean, they literally just came up with all this crazy stuff. It's really crazy. I know the spittle is absolutely part of it, but guess what? They also use masks for infectious diseases. Yeah, they use it for the spittle, but they use it for infectious diseases as well. Masks, absolutely. They did the studies. They even did studies on COVID with the masks. No, it's just, I mean, this is measles again. That's exactly what it is. This is why measles spread. This is why RFK Jr.'s organization came out against the polio vaccine and says it doesn't work. These guys don't, what is it, was it called gene theory? Not gene theory, germ theory. That's it. Thank you, Janice, for the lights. Germ theory is the whole like underlying concept of germs and bugs and viruses and bacteria, I think, and all these kind of things. It's absolutely crazy. Illegals did not bring measles into the U.S. No. It's actually, here's the problem. You can't be against vaccines and then claim that people who came illegally brought measles in. You wouldn't be getting measles if you were vaccinated. The very fact that you're against vaccines means you're helping spread the measles. So you can't really say, I mean, what? So people who come illegally and aren't vaccinated, aren't they heroes if they're not vaccinated? I thought. I'm confused, right? Are they heroes or are they evil illegals who are spreading disease? Like, which one is it? Because you guys, the only reason they've got measles is because they weren't vaccinated, usually. So isn't that like, aren't you proud of them for being not vaccinated? I'm very confused, right? I mean, it's a little confusing here. But also, that's not where it's coming from. That's not where it's coming from. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's just not. There's been no evidence of that. So, you know. What else we got? Yeah, well, you know. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Deep, deep, deep. Yep, evil people. I am back. Well, I'm here. I may not be back, but I'm here. Actually, we're up to 700 people now. We're back to our normal. Actually, so mods, do we have many trolls today or not? Just curious. If we have not as many. We got a good number of people though. Yeah, Ash says yeah. I haven't noticed it though. I mean, we've had some people. They found us. They're so good. We did. That's funny. Well, they know. They've clearly got a whole system for sort of gaming this, clearly. Interesting. Thank you, love my for the hearts. Love my dog. That's cute. They love me. I know the trolls love me too much. The troll will find a way. Russian. Why do you keep asking about a Russian civil war? I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry, people keep asking. Somebody keeps asking about that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Soren, thank you for that. Immune therapy works too. I had cancer in lungs and kidneys. Now all gone. Had a check last week. Oh, good for you. Yeah, I'm sure they would probably tell you to, pray or something. No, I don't get it. I have always been I've always been pro science because I'm pro facts. I just don't believe in being anti-facts, I mean, I just don't. I was brought up with math and science, and those were my favorite subjects, and therefore I believe in facts. And I think it kind of, helps being relatively intelligent because it makes you not very tolerant of people who aren't. So that I'm not very tolerant of people who are like, polio, not really caused by polio vaccine. You're like, really? Polio vaccine, it doesn't work. These are all the crazy RFK Jr.'s organization making these claims this week or last week. Like, I'm just not very tolerant of stupid because facts are facts. And what's the expression? You're entitled to your own opinion. You're not, you're entitled to your own opinion. You're not entitled to your own set of facts. And too many people think freedom of speech means freedom to be wrong and not be criticized for it. Well, it is. Just crazy stuff. So anyway, did they take over the city? I didn't see what actually. I did see that there were. I mentioned earlier several of the Russian troops that are working with Ukraine were at least reportedly in several cities in Russia, but we didn't see sort of what happened with that. Rickets. Is rickets something you get from like viruses or whatever? I don't know. Yeah, I'm all fine with prayer, Sword, but if prayer is your only answer to cancer or polio, then I've got problems with you. You know what I mean? I'm fine with prayer, but it shouldn't be the only thing you do, right? If you've got other options, right? No, it's okay. There's been no talk of a Russian civil war. That's the only reason I wasn't sure if you were being real or not. There's been no talk about it. No. I mean, it's a dictatorship. Putin's got the country battened down pretty well, you know? Yeah. And which also, he's clearly, like I said, freaked out about the election coming up and has been very kind of, stringent going after opposition leaders and things like that. Rickets is vitamin C. Okay. It's one of those, it's almost like scurvy and one of those that they got on the boats. No, vitamin C is scurvy. Rickets is vitamin D, right? Yeah, because isn't vitamin C scurvy? Help me out. I think so. What do you think about China? That's cute. Are you trying to get me banned again on this account too? Laying again. I love to lay. I do love to lay. Yes. Vitamin C scurvy. That's what I thought. Rickets is lack of milk. Oh, vitamin D. That makes sense. Yeah. Yep. Rickets comes from a lack of vitamin C? I don't know. All right. You're all disagreeing with each other, so now I don't know. I remember them eating the oranges. And didn't they also have an orange that they would stick a nail in or something? Wasn't that... Okay, I'll do a recap tonight before we go. Wasn't there also a nail or something that you would stick in an orange to try to get iron or something crazy like that? Was that like a wives' tale or was that real? Like apocryphal? I thought it was true that was actually a thing, right? Now I remember like growing up hearing that, and whether the nail somehow would infuse some iron in there. I don't know why. Kind of weird though. Yeah, but I don't know whether that's iron that's soluble or whatever you want to call it, right? That's available, or whether you just sort of poison yourself with iron. Old nails. I'd be like, you make a battery exactly. Put some wires on it. Oh, interesting. The British term limey comes from the Navy keeping limes. Oh, that's interesting. I will talk to Yulia again. I'm happy to talk to Yulia again. We like Yulia. I haven't talked to her in a few weeks since she started her new job. She's at the Kyiv, not the Kyiv Independent, the Kyiv, what's it called? The other English language paper. I'm forgetting. What are they called, guys? Post. Thank you, Ash. The Kyiv Post. Yes. So we'd like to hear how she's doing, actually. Seep rusted nails in hot water to get iron tea. Get out of here. Was that a real thing? Is that real? Thank you, Too Fast. Is that for real, though? People would do that? Get out. Wow. I mean, I guess back in the day, right? People were malnourished and everything. They couldn't get, like, rounded meals and everything else. Wow. That's crazy. Wow. Anyway, I will do a quick summary before we go, but just seeing if there's anything else here. I'll look again and see if TikTok decided, thank you, Marsha, if TikTok decided in its magnanimity to bring me back. Nope, they didn't. What a surprise. What a surprise. All right. Just still waiting, TikTok. Anyway, what else, guys? Anything else? I talked about TikTok in China at the beginning of the show. We talked a lot about it, actually. What else? Yeah, propaganda. Well, propaganda's, propaganda warfare is a big deal, and the Russians love it. And Putin especially, he's former KGB, Putin is the king of psychological warfare, of messing with your head, Absolutely. Oh, you did go to Ukraine. I want to go with you, I told you. Although I couldn't probably go right now anyway. But I thought I saw a video that you were going. I thought so. I know people, Marie, so they're going to wait. If TikTok doesn't rescind the ban tonight, my people are going to weigh in. So, but I just, I know people too, to be honest. One of my friends in Congress is Richie Torres, who was just on TV today. He was like one of the lead guys proposing the bill. Richie doesn't know what I'm going through, and I don't plan on telling him. But this stuff is not helpful to TikTok to do things like this that they do when they just ban creators who just happen to be putting out information not in line with the party line. It's a little weird. Not very helpful for them. So Biden does have to sign it. Basically, just to reiterate, the way the ban stands is the House has passed it. It has to pass the Senate. It's not at all clear it will pass the Senate, but it does have to pass the Senate. And then after it passes the Senate, it then goes to a joint committee of senators and House members who together have to negotiate, because the bills will be different. The bills have to be negotiated to become one unified bill. And then that unified bill, that compromise, will go to the House for a final vote, go to the Senate for a final vote, and then it goes to Biden. So very first thing is it's got to pass the Senate first, and it hasn't even started there. But it might. It might. I mean, now the Senate can be, the Senate is a difficult place to pass legislation. It's easier to kill things in the Senate. So they'll have an easier time, sort of, whether it's TikTok's advocates or free speech advocates or whatever you want to call it, will have an easier time killing this bill in the Senate than the House, for sure. But, it was so many Republicans and Democrats in the House that, I'm just saying this was a very powerful statement from the House. It was like 360 or some votes in favor and not that many opposed. I mean, it was huge. Hey, Pedro, we're here, Pedro. We're here. Well, Trump actually tried to ban TikTok and the courts got involved. But Trump now has changed his mind, but that wasn't enough to save TikTok in the vote today. So I'm very intrigued on all of this, All right, I'm trying to, hold on, there we go. Turning off the auto exposure. I'm now going to try to, there we go. Still trying to, on YouTube, I've got to keep adjusting the light because as the sun sets, it's changing everything. It's a bipartisan ban. Oh God, yes. Oh, in the, let me pull it up. It was incredible numbers today of Republicans. First of all, it passed the House committee. It starts in the committee. So the committee of jurisdiction, 25 members of Congress in that committee, a little more, maybe, I don't know if it's 13, 14 Republicans to 12 or 13 Democrats, 25. It voted out of committee 25-0. They supported banning TikTok. 25-0 Democrats and Republicans. They don't ever do that. That's what I'm saying. This is Biden is in favor of it. Trump was in favor. Trump now changed his mind after meeting with a rich billionaire who invests in TikTok's parent company. But otherwise, this is very, let me see here, the vote. 352-65. 50 Democrats opposed, 15 Republicans opposed. There was an effort by some of the Bitcoin folks I follow. I shouldn't mention that word because TikTok doesn't like that either. But some of the people I follow, where they're trying to blame it on Biden. I got news for you. The Republicans are even more freaked out about this than Democrats, because this is a anti-Communist Party of China thing, and Americans don't love the Communist Party of China to start with. Republicans really don't love the Communist Party of China. This is a Republican thing, but it was really both. It was both in the House. Like I said, 352-65, with 50 Democrats and 15 Republicans opposing. Rare show of bipartisanship. What the legislation would do: the bill would prohibit TikTok from the U.S. app stores unless the social media platform is spun off from ByteDance. The bill would give ByteDance roughly 5 months to sell TikTok. If not divested by that time, it would be illegal for app store operators such as Apple and Google to make it available for download. Looking here. Yeah, there you go. No, it's a very interesting story. It's a very interesting story, Now, I will say, it's not just TikTok. Like we said, Facebook, Google. The amount of information everybody has on us is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It's not, but it is a ban, Casey. It's not a ban, but it is a ban. Okay, fair enough. If we're going to be precise, Casey's correct. Thank you, Pedro. It is forcing TikTok to be sold by the Chinese within 5 months, or it is effectively banned. I am happy to say effectively banned. You can't say, well, we're not banning you, we're just cutting off the app. Well, if you cut off the app, you've banned them, right? It's a ban. You can't download it. There's nowhere to get it from. Where are you going to get it from? Right? How do I put something on my iPhone if it's not coming from the App Store? right? I mean, I'm not gonna. I once upon a time I used to jailbreak my phone. I'm not gonna jailbreak my phone now. I did when I was younger to get all the cool, not younger, but early years to get all the cool apps. I don't think they're gonna allow it on the. Let's see what they do about the laptop. Let's see what they do. Now, it's interesting because I agree with you though. You could still go by the web. I am kind of curious though. How many of you on TikTok are watching this via the web? Via a website on your computer? Up, the dog wants water. Well, as I step away, actually, you know what? That would be a perfect poll. Actually, can you do the polls? I always forget. Can you guys do polls on here? Set up a poll that says, are you watching, are you here today on your phone or on a computer? Hold on, let me get the dog some water. If you can't do it, I'll set it up. I mean, YouTube, I always assume you're on a computer, but who knows, right? Are there YouTubers? Are you guys all on a computer? Now, almost everybody is saying phone or iPad. I consider iPad as well, yeah. See, there isn't a single person who's saying computer. Did anybody on TikTok? We don't even need it. We don't even need the poll. Saldria, look at you, and Lutfi. You Luddites, you. And user 522. Ava, really? Okay. There's a small number. I don't know. Ash, were you able to? We'll see if Ash is setting it up. There's so many now, I can't see whether Ash is saying she could set it up or not. Interesting. YouTube, we've definitely got some phone on YouTube as well. Interesting. PC, like I use YouTube on my PC, Even to do the show, I've got YouTube on my PC and I've got my my iPad for you guys for TikTok. Sasha, you got to wait. I just gave you some water. Give it a rest, okay? Yeah. Yep. Well, the U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation today that would basically ban TikTok, really, if it's not sold within 5 months by the Chinese. But it would basically make it illegal for the App Store to make the app available, which I think means it gets removed from your phone. So yeah, we'd have to get it on the web, and I'd have to stream via TikTok's website, which I can do, but it's a pain, right? So people might do it, but it's going to make it a lot harder. Because let's face it, we're on our phone all day. You know what I mean? Sasha, oh my God, the dog wants more, right? Poll has been set up. Okay, let's see what it does. All right, 1 second, dog. 1 second, Paul. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. Life is so hard for you. So hard. All right. Oh my God. The dog is having a hard life. She's thirsty. Let me see here. So, okay. I don't see the poll, but I believe you, of course. But just seeing. Well, we'll see. Hopefully it'll pop up. Well, hopefully it's already 25 after. We may not stay long enough to see the poll results. We will find out. Anyway, well, we did pretty well today. Actually, we still got 670 people. That's good on TikTok and YouTube. YouTube is always less, but it adds up nicely. YouTube. Oh, there we go. 92% of people report joining us on TikTok via their phone versus 8% on the computer. That's interesting. But yeah, we've had 565 people total on YouTube, 163 right now, which is still nice. It's always more on TikTok. TikTok's total, I don't know if it tells me the total. Oh, it does tell me the total. We've had total views, actually 14,000 people total. That's not bad. Actually, that's a good number. Thank you for the crazy eyes. Oops. That's not so bad. What do? I do this. Who am I and what I do is kind of a different question. You can actually go to my profile on this TikTok. I don't know if my link is even there. Is my Linktree link even on TikTok? Thank you, Richard. On this TikTok, is my Linktree link even there? I don't know if it is. Oops. I'm going to lighten this up a little for you guys on YouTube. No? Okay. I've got to put it in there. Yeah. You can, it's aravosis.com will take you. So my last name, Aravosis, which you see up there, aravosis.com. should take you to my link of links. And if you go there, thank you, Chelsea, you can scroll down to my LinkedIn and you'll see all about me. But I'm a long-time political Washington sort of internet and politics guy. So, you know, well, Andrew, you obviously like me or you wouldn't be here. I love people who come and go, I'm going to come and sit through and watch your chat and I'm going to send you messages and say, you annoy me. How do I block you? But I think Andrew had a crush on me is what's actually happening there. Because come on, right? Oh, here's a live that I don't find interesting. I think I'm going to join and leave comments for the host. I think somebody wanted a little attention is what I think. Little Andrew. Andrew likes the curls. What can I say? The Greek has power. What can a little TikTok crush? I think so. Any case. All right, what else we got, guys? I'll do a quick little news summary here. Thank you, proud Swede. I wasn't fishing for compliments, but thank you. All right, dog, what are you doing? Dog always likes to walk around, and all right, hey, don't you dare. She likes to go out and hang around, but then she goes and she starts eating stick and stuff, and I'm like, don't you dare eat sticks. Don't you eat sticks. I saw that. Let me do a quick little summary of the news. I started off talking about how Paul Alexander, who is one of the last Americans with okay, that's a little weird. Don't go putting your phone number on there. That's a little strange, Harold. Brian, thank you for that. Hey, cool. Paul Alexander, one of the last Americans in an iron lung from polio, just died. He was 78 years old. He went on an iron lung when he was 6 years old from polio. Very scary. He had a TikTok account. He had a very popular TikTok account, Polio Paul, he called himself, and had 300,000 followers on TikTok at the time of his death, which is amazing. Really kind of cool. I mean, imagine like all these years living in an iron lung, and suddenly you're able to communicate with 300,000 people. I mean, what an amazing, in a way, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's very cool, actually. Ukraine, we started with the TikTok ban, talked about it. House of Representatives today passed what is effectively a ban on TikTok. It's more complicated, yes, but nonetheless, has to go to the Senate. Not clear if the Senate will pass it. So it still has a ways to go, but it passed with such a bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats in the House, that TikTok should be worried. Ukraine struck a Russian oil refinery again today for the second day. They're obviously hitting Russian oil pretty hard. Czech National Security Advisor says they've got the money to purchase 300,000 artillery rounds, which should arrive by June. There's another, that's not very many. They did say they had the money for 800,000, so I'm hoping more is coming. Fighting between anti-Kremlin militias and the Russian army is taking place in 5 settlements inside Russia, reportedly. Russia says it will not participate in Switzerland's peace talks, even if it's invited. I think that's because the Republicans killed all aid to Ukraine, and the Russians are thinking, why do we need to negotiate? We'll just wait, right? We'll just keep fighting until the Ukrainians have no more ammunition or not enough. More war threats from Russia. Russia has warned that the West is walking on the edge of the abyss, and the war could escalate beyond Ukraine's borders, unless, of course, we give in and just hand Ukraine to Russia. Michael Clark from Sky News responded, because Putin's been threatening nuclear war too. Michael Clark responded, basically, Britain has nuclear weapons, and if you attack Britain, they're attacking you with their nuclear weapons, and 45 nukes are going to fall on Russia, and Moscow is not going to exist anymore. And I'm literally quoting what he said from Sky News. That's what he said. 45 nukes will fall on Russia, Moscow will be gone. So therefore, Russia will not be attacking Britain. We should not take seriously anything Russia says in this regard, which is a point I keep reminding you guys of. And finally, this is the final one. Yes, the head of a former Russian anti-war presidential candidate was arrested in Russia because he put up a post on Telegram, a social media app, and included a little rainbow flag emoji, a little rainbow picture. And that was too gay for the Russian anti-gay law, so they arrested the guy for literally putting a rainbow in his post. The Russians also recently arrested a woman for wearing rainbow earrings. I kid you, because rainbows are gay in Russia. I kid you not. I kid you not. So, and again, it's a funny story, but it's not a really funny story because they're doing this in anticipation of the presidential election this weekend, which is totally, corrupt. Russia's a dictatorship. The presidential elections are not real. That's happening, and they've been clamping down left and right on opposition. This is part of their opposition clampdown. So, legendary American rainbow earring. Rightfully, she was arrested. Okay, that's pretty funny. You got to be careful because the mods may think you're being serious. That's very funny. Humor can be very difficult during our lives sometimes, as people have found. With sometimes the sarcasm sounds real, but that was very funny. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to get going shortly. Make sure you do follow me on my my backup account on TikTok in case TikTok is still playing games. I'm going to do one last little look here. TikTok. Yep, TikTok is still playing games. God bless you, TikTok. You just got to drag things out, don't you? Apparently we do. Anyway, yeah, it's sunset, different lighting. I can't affect the lighting. I'm actually starving. I had a snack before the show, but I'm getting very hungry, so I am going to go make some dinner right now. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. Thank you, mods. I appreciate you sitting through all the troubles we're having on TikTok, so thank you guys for that. Hopefully back on my normal account tomorrow. Well, let's find out. We have no idea. Yeah, a backup for the backup. Yeah. Let's find out. But hopefully there won't be a problem, but we'll find out in TikTok, which they've done before. They call it overzealous moderating. Again, I think it's a mod in some foreign country that's playing games because it happened at 11 o'clock at night, which means it wasn't in America. Somebody didn't like me criticizing Russia, and somebody didn't like me criticizing Trump. That's what happened, clearly. So, JC, I can look, although I'm not going to be able to find you. JC, that can't be your only name. Hold on. Oh, it's a longer, hold on. I will try right now. Oh, God, J.C_68. Let me try. Non es solamente, a friend of mine. J.C_68. You are blocked. Aha. Now you aren't blocked. There we go. Sorry about that. I don't know. Maybe you did something, but also it can be difficult. It can be very difficult to keep you got blocked for asking a question. Sorry. It can be hard sometimes. I mean, not sometimes. It's very hard. We have so many trolls. Even today, the mods were saying we got a lot of trolls. We have so many trolls that it can be difficult. We had a guy yesterday, actually, that I apologized to. He got muted for asking a question, and his question was actually supporting Ukraine, but the way it was phrased, he said something about we shouldn't be giving money to Ukraine. And the rest of his question was, we should be giving them weapons. Like, why are we giving them money? We should be giving them weapons. Like, that's the thing they need the most. And he got blocked, I think, because somebody mistakenly thought he said we shouldn't be giving money to Ukraine, and they thought he was being anti-Ukraine or whatever. Even then, I wouldn't block anybody for saying we shouldn't give money to Ukraine, but if they're being a nonstop troll, I would. But it happens, Timothy, you got blocked too. I think we need T-shirts. Thank you, Elizabeth. We need T-shirts. I got blocked on John's TikTok. It happens. What do you do? Now, if TikTok gets banned, we're gonna have to move. I'm gonna be broadcasting on TikTok on the web. I mean, on my web browser instead of my app. I'm going to be begging Europeans for gifts. And I'm going to have to be doing a lot more. No, it's different, though, George. Ukraine is starting to lose now because Republicans in Congress have cut off all their money. Of course, Ukraine isn't going to do well in the war if MAGA Republicans cut off all their money and all their weapons from the U.S. That's a given. But Russia isn't winning either, though, is the problem, right? We're in the third year of this war. Russia, we were told, was a superpower, right? This is embarrassing for Russia. And frankly, it is like the U.S. in Afghanistan, and it is like the U.S. in Iraq, to be honest, right? Where after 20 years, we couldn't win. Russia's having a hard time winning. Even with the MAGA Republicans cutting Ukraine off, Russia's still losing like 30,000 men to get one little town of 30,000 people. So it is fair now that MAGA Republicans have cut off Ukraine. It's fair now to say, You know what? You guys didn't tell me to turn up my volume today until now. Mary is correct. My volume was on low. You guys you have to remember, because somebody mentioned last night, I forgot too. You YouTubers usually complain about my volume, and you didn't complain today. I had the volume setting on the wrong setting. So you were correct, Mary Bray, by the way. Thank you for that. I just turned it up to the normal setting. Can you tell the difference now? It sounded normal today, though. Okay. Well, it would be clear, but it wouldn't be loud enough. I now put it up to the normal loudness level. Yes, there we go. Okay, good. In any case, yeah, whatever I was saying. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. It's 1 hour and 40 minutes. Thank you for joining us. And now it's too loud. All right, I turned it. Well, I'm going anyway. You know what? No, it's been 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm going now, guys. I got to make some dinner. So let's talk tomorrow. It's been a very stressful day with my little TikTok ban. So I really want to go and eat dinner at this point. Thank you, Proud Swede. Thank you, everybody. I'm doing one last look at TikTok. I'm going to guess that my account is still banned because my lives, because that's what they are. Well, hopefully by tonight, hope springs eternal. But we shall see. But anyway, guys, thank you for the gifts. I appreciate it. Thank you, YouTubers. Yeah, on YouTube, the sound would have been low for sure. Just make sure you tell me, guys. I mean, because not always throughout the show, but at the very beginning, there's a different sound level because I've got a good mic and stuff. There's a different sound level for my lives than for my recording my videos on TikTok throughout the day. I've got to actually go lower for my TikTok videos and then higher for the show. So anyway, thank you, Gregory. But Justin, yeah, sorry it was low. All right, guys, I'm going to make dinner, my Trader Joe's dinner. Who knows what frozen delicacy I have. I'm very excited. And I will see you guys tomorrow on wherever. Same mic. Yep. It's my nice little Shure microphone. It's a wonderful microphone, but it can be complicated how to get it to work with the different services and stuff. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Thank you, mods, for joining us and dealing with all the craziness today. So thank you, guys. I will talk to you later. All right. Have a good night. See you tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US. You know how it works.